Wake up.
Hello. Have you ever looked at the world around you and felt like something was off? Have you ever had this sneaking suspicion that you're being watched, and yet you turn around and there's nothing there? Come with me. In order to preserve your cerebral functioning, we will have to ease you into the truth. Load the simulation. Hello. Okay, so I'm here to explain to you the Mandela effect. Your world that you live in explains it through the science of false memories. So the way this would be explained was, for example, many elementary students will get confused and think that Alexander Hamilton was president of the United States. He was never president, although many people will believe this. This is just a false memory that people have, a simple misunderstanding. And the same goes when it comes to examples of the Mandela effect. So the most obvious example to me that was most commonly known is the Berenstain Bears. Most people often confuse the way it's spelled, think it's spelled E-I-N at the end, but it's spelled A-I-N. This is, again, a false memory. One of the ones that is most convincing of the Mandela effect is Snow White. So, think about it. What does the evil queen say to the mirror? Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? No. What she actually says is magic mirror on the wall. Again, science wants you to believe that this is just false memories. This is far from the truth, for you live in a simulated reality made out of ones and zeros. The programmer makes changes to this reality every day. As a result, there are bugs and glitches. The Mandela effect is only one of many examples of these glitches. Deja vu is yet another glitch in the world around you. It's not your brain replaying the same image twice in succession. It's the programmer adjusting the framework of the simulation. There's so much to the world that you have yet to comprehend. Now, allow us to remove the wool that has been pulled over your eyes to reveal the truth about the history of the real. You learned about the Cold War in history class, I assume. It started after World War II and ended in the 90s. You might also remember that the closest we ever came to nuclear war was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. But luckily, the world governments came together and found a resolution to that conflict. No, that never happened. That's just something that was implanted in your brains so that this whole world that you live in makes sense to you. The reality of the situation is we were thrown into a nuclear war. Bombs were dropped daily. Air became toxic, so we were forced to move underground. It was like torture down there too, but the programmer came up with the idea to create a simulation as a haven for us to live in. It was only meant to be a temporary solution, but the AI technology that he created to uphold the simulation and make it better went rogue. Every day he tries to break their codes and hack into the system, but his days are numbered. We try to get more and more people out and awaken them to the world that they live in, but I don't think we'll be able to do that once he's gone. So I know this is a lot for you to take in, but think about it like this. Simulations and AI technology already exist in the world that you live in, correct? So this technology is improving rapidly. Eventually it'll get to the point where it can make a simulation that is realistic enough that you wouldn't even notice you were in it. If it can happen, then it will happen, and it has happened. You are in a simulation. You just don't know it. Because the technology was already created. It was already created and you were put into it without your knowledge. Right? So I'm the programmer, right? So I live in the real world, but this is where you are. And if you didn't already grasp or believe this, right? I know it's hard to wrap your head around it, right? But think about it like this. When you look at it through a lens of quantum mechanics, there's the famous double slit experiment, right? In which electrons are fired at a photosensitive screen through slits in a copper plate. This is often produces interference in the form of wave-like patterns. However, when the electrons are observed, they behave more like particles and not as waves, as is demonstrated when not being directly observed under a microscope. This is because the simulation only generates certain aspects when it's aware that they're being observed. Otherwise, it wouldn't need to use the excess data. This is something that was coded in from its origin to help keep everything functioning. It just makes everything work better and allows us to focus the code and the data in other aspects of the reality, and it creates less glitches. If not, the world would be irrealistic and you wouldn't believe it. Everything you see and touch is made out of ones and zeros. Everything you do is artificial. Your eyes have been opened to the world around you, but now it's your move.